Hello MBA aspirants, in this video we shall talk about 5 tips for handling an MBA stress interview. Number 1. What is a stress interview? It is a panel's strategy to create unpredictable situations. Remember, unpredictability will always have a shock element. If they ask you suddenly which you are not expecting, you tend to slip into an ounce of stress, and that is absolutely indicative of high pressure for you to manage, and that becomes a part of your stress interview. It is driven by an extreme level of action-reaction mechanism. Action-reaction mechanism would mean that whatever you say, it goes into becoming the next question for the panel. For example, you tell them that your name is Karan, and they stop you. Who was Karan in Mahabharata? And suddenly you are under stress because you never expected this kind of a question. Now they are pretty much capable of asking this question. It is not the answer per se which becomes important. It is the way you behave with respect to the question which is putting you through that ounce of stress. Questions are not usually designed to get specific answers. In a stress interview, they are not looking for answers like in the true sense of the word, the literal sense of the word. They're looking at your overall attitude, behavior and communication. Your attitude will define your behavior, and your behavior will decide your communication. So how you manage the attitude, behavior, communication challenge will be a significant facilitator for you to manage a stress interview. Why does the evaluator put you through a stress interview? What is the need for a stress interview? To find out how well you manage unforeseen situations. When you start working, you will have so many of them. As you start walking along the professional career path, you will have such situations like dime a dozen. So how do you manage stress, which is so indicative of these situations, is what the panel is looking at. To check poise and balance of personality. Poise is your ability to manage stress confidently, to not get shaken up, and of course balance of personality is about a positive attitude to manage this kind of a stress situation. You are not taken aback by the question. You collect yourself confidently and face the panel. An effort to simulate near real corporate situations. As I said a while back, your corporate career is replete with these stress situations. So the management, the panel wants to know how equipped are you to behave under these circumstances. Obviously, the management program will put you through a certain rigor. They will try to simulate stress there itself. But before that, they want to know whether you have that basic capability to manage these situations or not. How to manage a stress interview? Well, this is a big question. Having understood what is stress and how it is being introduced in the interview and why it is being done, the next challenge for us is to understand ways of managing a stress. Now, there are 2 approaches which we talk about. Number 1 is a breakdown strategy. Thinking off the feet and articulating it confidently. Now, the situation is such that stress has already occurred. You were not expecting that question. So there is a breakdown. So there is a breakdown, so you have to manage the breakdown now. And your ability to think impromptu, your ability to think there and then is what is being talked about. And then of course, you share that thought with the panel in a certain way without signs of nervousness and with nerves of steel. Shifting the focus elsewhere where it is easy to hold the panel. They ask you what is your percentage in graduation, and you share with them that, sir, I was able to score 62%, and then they look at your class 10th and 12th where you have achieved significantly more. And for example, in your 10th it was 95, in your 12th it was 92, and suddenly there is a dip to 65 or 62. And the question is, what happened? So this stress is for you to manage. This stress is for you to take care of, because now the challenge is not just justifying why this percentage dipped to 65, but the challenge is also taking him from academia to extracurriculars if this is reflected in your profile. Then you can possibly share with the panel that, sir, I took an initiative to learn from sources other than academia as well. For example, I was an active participant in debates and dramatics at the college level, and this has been, and these are my certificates, this has been my achievement. So now you're taking the panel from one domain to another, and this other domain is your comfort zone. We are not saying, therefore, that you have to discount academia, but there is a method to manage these questions. Supporting inputs with examples and illustrations. Why that stress builds up? Because most of the candidates are not able to justify what they are saying. Whatever claims they are making, they are not supported by facts, by examples and illustrations. So if you have those examples in place, obviously the stress levels are going to be managed better and more smartly. Preventive strategy. Now, this is a strategy which prevents the occurrence of stress. Stress will occur because you get into a situation which is difficult for you to manage. So you try to avoid this kind of a situation, which is a very smart way of preventing that situation from occurring and preventing that ounce of stress from building up. So covering all aspects in advance. So as you look at your resume, as you look at your profile, please make sure that you are going into every kind of detail, starting with the meaning of your name to the city which you belong to, the family you come from, your family value system, then looking at education from a dual perspective, academics and extracurriculars, then looking at academics from multiple dimensions, your core subjects, your favorite subject, projects, paperwork, paper presentations, etc., and then looking at extracurriculars from a perspective of versatility and achievement. This is the way you have to proceed. Every possible question you have to prepare, which does not mean that they are not capable of putting you under stress on that day. They are pretty much capable, but you are minimizing the chance of this to happen. Analyzing past trends. Every business school has a vision, a mission, a culture, and a quality policy. You have to understand what that business school expects of you. You have to understand the past trends. So I think this is a good way of trying to understand what is expected of you from that particular B school, and a lot of this would be available on the website of the business school itself. They would have talked about their expectations. They would have talked about the program. So any stress which is building up because you are not able to handle these questions will be taken care of. Being aware of the program you are seeking admission to, as I said, when you read up more about the program, you are more confident as to how this would help you in achieving your career goals. For example, say you are going in for a program in international business. Now, this is slightly different from a regular management program. This is more about aligning it with global dimensions, understanding marketing, finance, HR, operations, IT from an international perspective. So when you read more about it, you try to understand what issues and challenges possibly can emerge, and you are better off in handling the stress which comes across because of these issues and challenges. Practicing. There is nothing better than practice. Make sure that you appear for simulated mock interviews. You, of course, invest your time sensibly in practicing and try to find answers to all questions which can act as potential stress creators, and you will be better off on that day. Number 4, applying EI to stress interviews. Now, what is EI? EI stands for emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a tool which you have to understand the situation in a more comprehensive way. Now, we are sharing with you the 5 components of EI as given by Daniel Goleman. He talks about self-awareness, self-regulation, internal motivation, empathy, and social skills. Now, coming to the first point, self-awareness. If you understand your strengths and weaknesses, if you understand your goals, if you understand your past and your desired future and how the present would serve as a link, you are definitely more equipped to manage stress on that day. Self-regulation. This is about balancing your emotions. This is about understanding a certain aspect of your personality which pushes you towards the goal, and a certain aspect of your personality which keeps you away from that goal. So your strengths and weaknesses have to be understood, and you have to manage your faculties in such a way that you come across as more emotionally intelligent. Internal motivation. Internal motivation, reasons to do an MBA. Now, this is an absolutely challenging question, and this is a question which poses a huge threat to potential candidates. They would have prepared everything about the resume, but for this one question, why MBA? So if that motivation to proceed for an MBA is missing, they'll understand it and they'll put you in a stress situation. Empathy. Now, empathy is about understanding the whole environment in which you are operating. Empathy is about understanding the various components of the management environment, understanding why you would like to go in for finance, understanding marketing, HR, operations, IT, different functions of management, understanding the B school per se. So this empathy here for us is about understanding the overall environment in which you wish to operate. Social skills. Now, social skills is about your networking, your ability to establish a connect with the panel on that day. If you are able to establish that connect, you are more emotionally equipped to manage the stress which comes along your way. Number 5, avoid the following. Do not try to add crude humor. They ask you a question, so where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? And then you just respond to this question by telling them that, sir, I see myself in your shoes. Now, this is not how you have to handle this question. It is a question which is designed, which is intended to assess you on your time-bound career goals. So this kind of crude humor would not serve as a good tool to answer this question. Do not be dangerously judgmental. Now, when you start responding to questions in a stress interview, you keep on, there are people who keep on, judging their own answers parallelly as they are responding to the subsequent questions. Now, this kind of thinking mode is dangerous for you to perform well on that day. So it will not go in good light, and it messes up the stress interview if you have to manage it in a certain way. Do not overstate under pressure. That pressure is fairly evident because of that stress situation. You tend to say things which do not reflect your personality. It may go against you. For example, I remember an incident where the candidate was very well equipped to share his hobbies with the panel, but when they asked him this question, that what are your hobbies, he responded by telling them that, sir, I like to watch movies and listen to music. There's nothing wrong in it. It's the way you say it, it's the way you explain how this helps you. It is your hobby, it's your interest area. Now the panel responded, because they wanted to put him through an ounce of stress, they responded by telling him that, hello, everybody coming today has been talking about similar hobbies. Tell us something which is more impressive. And the candidate, he yielded under this pressure, and suddenly he was reminded of a random book on Osho philosophy, which he came across somewhere in a situation which he was not really a part of, and he had no idea about Osho philosophy, and he ended up telling the panel that, sir, I love reading books on Osho philosophy, assuming that nobody in the panel would be aware of Osho as a thought process. And when things go wrong, they really do. Murphy's Law. And to his misfortune, what happened, somebody in the panel was equipped with Osho philosophy, knew everything about it, and the next 4-5 minutes there were questions only on Osho and nothing else. Now, and he was not able to hold the panel there. Now, where I'm coming from is, if you have to state something, please make sure that you don't overdo it. You hold on to your domain for a while. The panel can't just shake you up because they want to. They would obviously want you to handle that stress and not yield under it. So when you start acting otherwise under stress and you say things which are not true, which are concocted, which are fabricated there and then, that goes against you, and they are smart enough to dig you out. So just be yourself and make sure that you have examples, justifications for whatever you say. By and large, think off the feet, keep these 5 points in mind, and we hope that you will be more equipped to manage stress on that day. Thank you and best wishes.